Hi, this is Dr. Hansen. On today's episode, we're talking about equipping a solo medical practice. So by equipping, we're talking about what kind of items do you need to run the office from a business standpoint, and then what kind of items do you need for medical examination, etc. So from the medical examination part, don't get too carried away. You don't need a lot of bells and whistles. Let's say you need an exam table at a minimum, and then a stool to sit on while you're in the exam room, or a chair. You're going to need an otoophthalmoscope to examine eyes, ears, nose, mouth, throat, etc. Whatever tool that you use for that. You need a stethoscope, of course. You need a scale to weigh people. And you need blood pressure taking device, typically a manual sphygmomanometer, unless you like the machines, which I'm not a big fan of. But so just think about when you're examining a patient in whatever capacity you're examining them now, what stuff do you need? You need those tools that I mentioned, and a reflex hammer, tongue blades, and stuff like that, are relatively cheap items. So it's not complicated. You're not needing ultrasound machines. Maybe you need an EKG. That's not absolutely essential. There are certain stethoscopes, which are a little more pricey, that can actually run the equivalent of an EKG for most things that you need. But you don't need a lot of fancy gear to do this. Now, if you want to add some extra amenities, like if you want to flush earwax out of ears, etc., well, you know where I'm going with that. So if there's extra things you want to do, but don't make it a high expense item. Don't do that. Laboratory things, you may want to have a microscope and a centrifuge if you're going to spin your own urinalyses. Again, not a critical thing. If at least you have dipstick for urine chemistry and cells. So again, just think about what you would typically use to examine a patient, and that's what you want to have around. It really comes down to the office part items where you're going to have a computer. If you have a front desk person, they'll have a computer. Everybody needs phones. And then if you're going to have a computer and you're going to be online, you need router and switch and this kind of stuff like that. So the typical IT stuff, which is not particularly expensive. And then if you're going to have waiting room chairs, etc. So there are going to be some things that are rather obvious. And once you build an office, then you start noticing, oh yeah, I could use that too, which you can get quickly. You don't have to go over the top and do this. Just think about what is it going to take for when the office opens in the morning that somebody's going to be able to walk in, sit down if necessary, get up, have me bring them back to my exam room, sit them down, do a full history and physical on them, and then answer certain calls or return certain calls throughout the course of the day. And then be able to document stuff if you in your EHR if you have one, and also to send in prescriptions and these kind of items. So it's a really low budget endeavor to equip an office for a primary care physician, for a family medicine physician to see patients. Remember, patients are looking patients want to be able to see their doctor and have their doctor listen to them and to do an examination where there's actually an exam and not just waving of a wand. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for whether or not you have a point of care ultrasound machine or that you're having a treadmill stress test device. That's not what they want. They're not looking for that. So anyway, don't get too complicated about it. Again, the document that accompanies this goes into a lot more detail of the things that you need, and also some of the things which could be nice amenities to have, including the smaller stuff like syringes and certain medications, etc. So check that document out as a comprehensive list. And thank you for listening. Good luck. Bye.